Morning. Congratulations on everybody being here at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. I'm going to take attendance. So I can remember who's here. Anybody have any questions before we get started? Okay, just a reminder, we have a Moodle page, right? This is the Moodle page. You should be able to access the Moodle page for this module. If you can't, let me know, either during the break or after class. And once you can access the Moodle page, there's a link to join the MS Teams group for research methods. Most people have sent a request and joined. I would say something like 70% of the class has sent a request and joined, but there's still 30% that hasn't. So if you haven't, go ahead and do that. And then, of course, there's a QR code for lecture attendance. Oh, available. Let me, I should probably make that available. Okay, I should have made that available already, but anyways, now it's available. QR code for Friday lecture attendance, and then the slides and other materials, right? All the teaching materials for this module are here. I think all of you are used to this by now. You're all familiar with Moodle and things like that, right? Okay, today you're going to learn a new skill. You're going to learn something new today. And it sounds kind of funny, but it's a skill you can use for the rest of your life. Not just at the university, but literally the rest of your life. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It sounds funny, but it's true. It's just a simple exercise on how to conduct effective meetings, especially scientific meetings or business meetings and so on. Has anybody here in the audience ever been to a meeting? Yeah? Anybody never been to a meeting before? Some sort of a business meeting. You've never been to a meeting before? Wow. Okay. Well, you'll be in a lot of meetings from now on for the rest of your life. So you'll meet with your supervisor, and then you'll graduate, and then you'll have meetings at your job, at your company, and you'll have meetings for the rest of your life. As long as you're either in education, higher education, or working somewhere, you'll have meetings. And then the question is how to have effective meetings. Okay, so for everybody that has been in meetings before, have you ever wondered to yourself, oh, I'm not sure how I should prepare for this meeting that I'm about to have? Has anybody ever wondered this question before? Good if you haven't. Has anybody, when they were in a meeting or before a meeting, they thought to themselves, I wonder, I can't remember what we talked about at the last meeting, I wonder what we talked about at the last meeting. Anybody ever wonder this? Yeah, exactly. How about this? Have you ever thought to yourself, I wonder when the next meeting is going to be? Yep, that's another one. How about this one? Have you ever been in a meeting and then thought to yourself, haven't we already talked about this before? Anybody ever get that feeling? Very good, very good. Has anybody ever been in a meeting and then thought to themselves, I'm lost, I don't even know what we're talking about? Meetings, if you don't have a meeting structure and a meeting plan, your meetings are kind of like a waste of time. They're not, let's say not a waste of time, but they're not very productive. Has anybody ever walked away from a meeting, like at the end, and thought, that was a waste of time? Yeah, that happens. So today we're going to learn a simple skill. It's not exciting, but you're going to learn how to have effective meetings, productive meetings, constructive meetings. It's going to solve all those problems, and you're actually going to practice it in this lecture today. We're going to have a meeting. So this is just some of the questions that I was asking, like, have you ever left a meeting not knowing what to do? That used to happen to me a lot. Like, I go out of a meeting and it'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to actually do? And you don't know what you're supposed to take away. You just know that you were in a meeting for an hour and you're not sure. You might have arrived at a meeting unprepared, or you're not sure how to prepare. You might walk away from a meeting and not have any idea when the next meeting is, and then you have to send 100 emails back and forth to somebody to like figure out when the next meeting is. And then you've forgotten what was described at the last meeting, right? These are the typical characteristics of meetings by default if you don't have any strategy or any plan or any structure. It's easy to get lost, right? If the meeting runs too long, especially meetings that run too long, right? Then it's very easy to get lost. Has anybody had a meeting that ran over time and it just keeps going on and on and on and on? Yeah. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. I used to go to meetings and just be like, I'm sure we talked about this before. Like, I think we're going in circles. I vividly remember having that feeling. So we're just going to introduce a meeting protocol. It's called Bob's Minutes of Meeting Protocol. I love protocols. I love templates. That just means I like organization. I like things to be organized. I like things that are structured and predictable. That's just the way my personality works. So this Minutes of Meeting protocol reflects all those characteristics, right? It provides a structure for your meetings. So meetings, if they're not structured, they're usually unstructured. That means they're just completely chaotic and random, and they go in random directions at random times. So the time and the content is organized in this protocol. There are 3 parts. One part is called the topics discussed. So you're just writing down a list of those topics that you discussed during the meeting. It's pretty easy, right? It has a progress section. So in that section, you're writing down the progress that you made or someone else made, whoever's in the meeting, since the last meeting, right? Part 3 is a to-do list. That is what you need to do in order to prepare for the next meeting. So what you need to do between now and the next meeting. Those are the 3 basic parts. So suddenly you have a structure, and it addresses all those questions. Like the topics discussed addresses all this problem of, didn't we talk about this already? I can't remember what we talked about in the previous meeting. Like it addresses those 2 problems. Progress addresses how to prepare for the upcoming meeting. Like, what do I need to do to prepare? And then the to-do list is the takeaway. What do I need to do after this meeting? Now that the meeting is finished, probably I should do something. And then you know what to do. There are some other parts, but those are the 3 basic parts. By the way, when you walk into a meeting and you have a supervisor, for example, or a boss or a manager, does anybody know what the manager is thinking? You can now start to develop your beginner level psychic powers, mind-reading powers. When you walk into a meeting, what is your supervisor, manager, or boss, or whoever thinking? Anybody know the answer to this question? Yeah, I know the answer. Anybody know? Nobody knows the answer to that question? Has anybody here been like a supervisor or a boss or a manager? Probably, maybe not yet. Well, today you're going to know what they're thinking. I'll tell you what they're thinking. They're thinking, what progress have you made? Tell me, like, what did you do? So they're wondering about this, part 2. That's what they're wondering. So now you know, this is what my supervisor is wondering as soon as you walk into the meeting. So this protocol provides continuity between meetings and memory, right? So now suddenly we can remember what we talked about at the last meeting, what we're supposed to do, what the takeaways are. Each meeting starts with reviewing the previous minutes of meeting protocol. So you're like, oh, how do I get started here? You're looking at the previous minutes of meeting protocol, and you're looking at the to-do list. Like, what was I supposed to do? What's my progress? What did we talk about last time? So every time you start a meeting, you're opening up the minutes of meeting notes from last time. And they facilitate progress. So they provide structure, continuity, but they also help in progress. So the to-do list, if you're having weekly meetings, the to-do list forces you or encourages the attendees to think, okay, what is something that we can work on between now and the next meeting? And it should, in the ideal world, it is something you can accomplish in 1 week. So you're breaking a big problem down into smaller chunks that are manageable, hopefully within 1 week. Right? That's the ideal to-do list. Right? Encourages decisive action before the next meeting. In other words, you have to think and you have to make decisions. Right? Large tasks are broken down into small ones. Right? That's the key to everything. Is to take a large task and break it down. I still have my cold. So this is what it looks like. 1 second. Clear my throat. So the minutes of meeting has the date and the time. Right, today's date, today's time, right now. it has a list of each person that is at the meeting. It will also can have a list of each person that's not at the meeting. Does anybody here have to do group work? Anybody here have to do group work? So this is going to be very helpful for your group work. You have a list of each person at the meeting, and then you have a list of each person not at the meeting. You have a list of topics discussed. You have a list of progress, the accomplishments since the last meeting. And when there are things missing, that implies that some things didn't get done. And then you have a to-do list, things to work on before the next meeting. And look, you have the date and the time of the next meeting there. So you're there, and while you're there, you decide when the next meeting is going to be, as opposed to going away and then trying to write 5 million emails back and forth. When should the next meeting be? Tuesday at 2? No, I can't do Tuesday at 2. Could you do Tuesday at 3? And then just drive everybody crazy. And then you type up the minutes of meeting, and they're kept online in some sort of a collection. That's the idea. And then you have a complete history, a complete documented history of every single project. If you can do this, you can have productive meetings from today for the rest of your life. No joke. That's what a minutes of meeting looks like, or could look like. Right, that's just an example. It's got the people that were there, it's got the date, the time, it's even got the end time, it's got the date and the time of the next meeting. It has a list of topics discussed, it has a list of progress, and it has a list of to-dos, right? And every piece of progress has a name next to it, like who made that progress, right? And who has what to do, right? Every to-do item has a name next to it. So you know, okay, this person has to do this, right? Any questions or comments about this so far? Is it very easy and very simple?
Half of this information change as the week goes on. The date would be rescheduled again and again, because that's what I remember of my year in industry, is that the dates would constantly be rescheduled.
Oh, you mean like you've got your meeting and then you get an email saying we need to reschedule. Yeah, that can happen. That's a sign of like not very good organization. But at least it's an attempt to set a date and time for the next meeting. Personally, I like to always have a fixed slot. Like it's going to be Mondays at 2 o'clock, period. And then I can just forget about it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about lots of communication, like, when is it going to happen, you know, and all that stuff. But yeah, some of the information could change. If that happens too much, though, that's a sign that there's something wrong, I think. Like, somebody's having trouble organizing themselves. Yeah. Maybe it's a sign that they're overworked. That's possible. That's what a folder could look like if with all the minutes of meeting in it, right? So you have the complete history of a project, right? It's got like the minutes of meeting, you know, with the file names and everything. I've supervised many projects, right? And so I enjoy seeing this list grow. I supervised one student for his master's degree and his PhD, and so we had one long list of minutes of meeting for both degrees, like combined, start to finish, and it's like very well organized. And of course he had massive success because he was so well organized. Okay, now some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, that's nice, Bob, but my supervisor doesn't use this. Your managers and your bosses and your supervisors are not going to be this well organized, generally speaking. They're not going to use this protocol, generally speaking, which is kind of sad, but that's just the way it is. So if you want to have a constructive, organized meeting, you have to solicit the information from them. You have to say, you can keep a list of the topics discussed, right? You don't need someone else to do that for you. You can do that. You can bring your notebook and keep that list. And you can write your own to-do list. So when you're taking notes, you're writing your own to-do list, and at the end of the meeting, you say to your supervisor, okay, on my to-do list, I have the following items. Do you agree with this? Right? And they'll either say yes or no. Probably they'll say, oh, can you add that? And you can ask, oh, when is our next meeting? Can we schedule that now? Because I don't want to send a million emails back and forth trying to decide when the next meeting's going to be. And you can show up to a meeting saying, this is the progress, now that you know exactly what your supervisor is thinking, right? You can show up to your next meeting and say, this is the progress I've made since the last meeting. If you do this, if you actually do this, your supervisor's going to be shocked. He's going to be like, oh my gosh, who is this dream person I am working with? This is unbelievable. And they're going to think, how is it possible that this person can read my mind? Like, they have crazy psychic powers. This is amazing. You're going to blow them away. They're going to be like, oh, I can't believe this. Okay, so there's the protocol on the Moodle page, right? I have it on the Moodle page. That's what it looks like. Bob's Minutes of Meeting Protocol. There's a description, right? There's a sample, right? What do you guys think? Does it look interesting? Do you think you can have constructive meetings now? Good. So guess what? We're going to practice this protocol today, right now. You're going to have a meeting right now and use this protocol. So I'd like everybody to split into groups of 4 or 5 people. So you have to self-organize into groups. Each group starts a Google Doc. Who here knows about Google Docs? If you don't know about Google Docs, and this is your first time using a Google Doc, this is going to be extremely valuable too. Google Docs are super, super useful, especially for groups and group projects. So you start a Google Doc, you add the name of each person in your group to the Google Doc, and you're having a meeting, and you're going to follow this protocol. So it's going to have the start time, the date, the time and date of the next meeting, which is next week, by the way. Topics discussed. You want why each person in your group chose to study at the University of Nottingham. So you're going to ask each other, why are you studying here? Right? And you're going to write it in the topics discussed, like a short summary. And then why that person chose computer science. Why are they studying computer science? You write that down in the topics discussed. And then you're actually going to give each other to-do items, like real to-do items that you can use in your studies in the next week. For example, make sure you've signed up to the research methods MS Teams group. Maybe you have to find a supervisor, for example, or you're starting to look for some sort of project topic, but you're going to actually assign yourselves to do things to do. Then when you've finished your meeting, you're going to share the Google Doc with me, right? Robert Laramie at Nottingham.uk. That's what the share button looks like. You hit that share button. And then I'm going to look at them, and we're going to go over a few in the class. Gesundheit. Any questions about that? So actually, you could be learning 2 new skills today if you haven't discovered Google Docs yet. Because Google Docs is such a great tool. I use it every single day. Yeah. Any questions? So you have about 45 minutes to do this exercise, starting now. Any questions? Do you want me to like put you into groups? Do you want me to say you need to join this group? Or do you want to just form your own groups? Anybody have a preference? Okay, I guess I'll walk around and put everybody into groups then. How does that sound? Yeah? So you 3 are in a group. You 5 are in a group. 5 are in a
this exercise.
If you have questions, let me know. Yeah? So there was a question, each group has one Google Doc, right? Each group has one Google Doc, and you type out the minutes of meeting for your group. Yeah, does that make sense? I don't know about it.
Why I want to call it one customer.
One of these people. I'll just say something very obvious. So Google Docs, if you're interested, is banned in China, right? It's banned, it's censored. So a lot of the Chinese students will be using it for the first time. You might have to create a Google account or something like that. By the way, somebody just pointed out that when you have a group, you can share the documents with the other group members, and they can all edit the documents. That's a possibility. I had imagined like one person typing, but you could all be typing on the same document, so that's fine.
Should we be trying to make the other
Progress would just be like showing up. What is the name of the program?
No, so I work on it. I've got like
'Progress, somebody asked about the progress You can just put things like you formed a group, you started a Google Doc, you came to class today, like a big accomplishment, just the things that you actually got done. Because you made progress just by being here.
When Mother graduated, it's undergrad.
By the way, this is what the document looks like when you're finished. It looks something like this. You can use Google Docs supports formatting, so you can use like boldface font and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be in this font without formatting. So you can use formatting.